Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things sustainable, eco-friendly, and consumer conscious. As you can see, I made a little bit of a new intro in my videos, so if you like it or you have other thoughts, let me know in the comments below. So today I want to talk to you about why I decided to do a low buy year. If you follow me on Instagram, you have probably seen all the hashtags that I've been using so far. 2020 we have plenty, low buy 2020, low buy, and no buy. And it's because I have decided that this year I'm going to try the low buy 2020 challenge. There's a lot of people out there in this community who have committed themselves to either a no buy or a low buy year in 2019. And watching their videos on how this low buy or no buy experience has transformed their lives has inspired me to try out my hand in it. So in the first part of the video, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why I want to do the low buy year challenge. And in the second part of the video, I'm going to go through the rules that I'm planning on following. Some of the rules that I'm going to follow are going to be really similar to other bloggers, but some of them are quite different. And I think the reason for it is because I have a child and I wanted to make sure that my reasons for low buying or not buying some things this year would have to do with my child's upbringing. So if you are interested, keep on watching. If you like anything that has to do with sustainability, sustainable living, conscious living, and conscious consumerism, as well as gray hair, consider subscribing down below and liking this video. So here are the 3 reasons why I decided to go low buy this year. The first reason is I wanted to avoid the excessive consumerism culture. Don't get me wrong, I like buying things that are nice and pretty just as much as the next person, but it's the excessive consumption that I have a problem with. Capitalism is great and all, but at the root of capitalism is spending money, and often spending money that we don't have. So I wanted to kind of eliminate myself from being part of that culture, and by doing that, bring awareness to that culture. Of course, part of that reason is an environmental reason. Excessive consumerism is the biggest drive of carbon emissions in the world. The 2 biggest contributors to carbon emissions is energy and transport sector and the agriculture sector. And if you're buying anything, you are contributing to those 2 sectors. So even if you're buying clothing, you are contributing to energy. How? Well, that clothing has to be transported to your local store, and the fibers that the clothing is made out of have to be grown or made. And of course, the excessive water usage for the garment is another issue. If you're buying food, obviously it had to be grown, so you're contributing to excessive agriculture, especially if you eat meat. And then specific foods have very, very specific requirements for transportation, so you are contributing to global emissions of carbon that way. So by going low waste, I hope to eliminate my own and as well as my family's carbon emissions by not buying stuff, therefore not contributing to those sectors. Of course, I'm also going to talk to the people around me about why I'm not buying it so as to bring awareness to these issues. Number 2 reason why I wanted to start a low buy year was to kind of start living a more intentional lifestyle. So growing up, I always compared myself to others constantly, and until this day, I still compare myself to others constantly, and I try to fight it, but it's a really tough thing to fight if you have grown up with it. So when I'm scrolling through my Instagram feed and some blogger has the Chanel bag or perhaps a big house with beautiful stuff in it, I find myself thinking, I wish I had that, and wow, they must have a great lifestyle that affords them to have all these things. And I start thinking about how I can accumulate all of that stuff. And I think that I am not good enough, or I don't have a good enough lifestyle when I don't have those things. So my hope for this low buy year is to perhaps, become content with owning things that I already have, with perhaps decluttering things out of my life that do not bring me joy, as Marie Kondo would say, and just have a more intentional lifestyle where I can enjoy things in the moment, where I can enjoy simple things such as tea. My hope for this intentional living is that I am going to end up really enjoying my life as it is now, because it's a pretty good life, because it's mine, instead of constantly wanting to have somebody else's life or somebody else's stuff. The third reason why I wanted to do a low buy year is because of my child. Since becoming a mother, I have become hyper aware of all the stuff that kids require, and I try to avoid all of these things by either not having them because they're silly or by getting them secondhand. The older my child is becoming, the more he's becoming aware of the things around him. So if he gets used to constantly getting things from the store, getting presents and getting stuff, he will start to associate that with happiness and contentness. And I don't want him to have that. I want him to be happy because he experiences something good. I want him to be content because he is with his family and his friends and he is having a great time, regardless of what clothes he's wearing or what toys he's playing. By eliminating stuff from his life, I hope to develop his creativity, his independence, and his passion for life rather than his want for stuff. So these are my reasons for starting a low buy year. I was never really addicted to shopping, but I definitely was addicted to kind of fake shopping where I would just scroll through stuff or people's pictures and think about what would I have if I had all the money, or what would I do if I had all the time. But it's just useless. It brought me nothing but jealousy and just like negative feelings. So I want to stop doing that, and hopefully by intentionally not buying things and intentionally enjoying my life as it is, that will change. So here are the rules that I have decided on for myself because they are relevant to my life for a low buy year. I think it's first really important to identify if you're going to do a no buy year or a low buy year. No buy, of course, is a lot more pressure and there's a lot more chance that you will fail, so to speak. Low buy year will allow for some things, some wiggle room. So I have decided what my wiggle room is. So here are the things that I'm going to allow myself to buy. First, I'm going to allow myself to buy things that I have already planned for. So for example, I have planned to buy a spring bag. I have planned to buy a new necklace that I've been eyeing on the internet for a long time. And I have planned to buy my son's scooter for his birthday. So these are the things that I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy them all secondhand, including the scooter. And I have planned for them for about 6 months. So I am going to buy them because really I have thought through them. They are not impulse buys and I really need them / want. So I am going to buy them. The second thing I'm going to allow myself to buy is underwear, bras, and t-shirts. And it's because I found that in my wardrobe, I am kind of lacking in that area. So especially the t-shirts, and I have committed to doing a lot of research on sustainable and ethical brands in all 3 of those items, and I am only going to buy those items. But it kind of falls under the first category. I've already planned for it, but also I truly need these things, so I'm not going to deprive myself of them because I've committed to this challenge. No, I need them, so I need to get them. The third allowance is to replace items that break. I don't anticipate that I'm going to have anything that will break this year. And if it does, I'm going to first try to repair it. But if it's impossible, I will have to find a replacement. And that is how I think people should think about buying new things as a replacement. First, think if it can be mended, and then, only then, consider buying. And if you need to buy from sustainable brands or ideally secondhand. And the last allowance I have made is things that are real needs. For example, if my son is going to start some kind of sports club or some kind of arts club, I will go and get him those things that he needs. But of course, as always, I'm going to try to find them secondhand first before trying to buy new things. So now on to things that I have decided I do not need, and I'm going to try really hard to not allow myself to get these things. First one is impulsive buys. I find that most of the time when I impulse buy, when the item is actually in my hands, if it had to kind of get shipped or if I start using it, most of the time I actually regret it. So it's because I didn't covet for the item. I didn't have the anticipation of getting the item. So when I actually have it, it's meaningless to me. Even if I did need it, I didn't like really want it. Therefore, I don't appreciate it. So I'm going to really avoid impulse buys. How am I going to do it? Well, I'm going to have a rule where if I want something because I see it right now, I'm going to actually wait a day, a week, a month, however long I think is necessary for that item. And I think the bigger the item, the longer I will have to wait. And then if I catch myself thinking about the item all the time, I am going to buy it. The next rule for my no buy items is doubling up on items. A really great example of this in my wardrobe, for example, is sneakers. I have 2 pairs of sneakers that I use all the time. One of them is shabby, but they're both white. They're both sneakers. They serve the same purpose of walking, casual walks. So when those shabby sneakers really don't do it for me anymore and I'm gonna have to kind of donate them or, I don't know, repurpose them somehow, I still have a pair of white sneakers. So I'm going to use that pair until it like falls apart before I will consider getting new sneakers. So I don't need to have, shelves and shelves of different white sneakers. This is the trap that I find myself falling into again when I scroll on Instagram, or there's the new white sneaker or new item that is trendy currently that I think I need, because without it my outfit is just not complete, or my life is not complete, my house is not complete. I'm going to really refrain from getting multiples of the same item because I probably have that item already. And that leads me to the third thing category that I'm not going to be allowing myself to buy, and that is trendy items. Again, it's kind of like an impulse buy. Trendy things, the reason why they're called trendy is because they are fashionable or popular at one time and they quickly leave that category, and it's because they are probably not durable, or they are not practical, or they are really kind of uniquely designed for one purpose only. Do you remember a few years ago, everybody was obsessed with owls? So like every single store at the mall carried something with owls. So I would love to poll you guys. How many of you actually bought owl things? And how many of you actually enjoy them right now? So comment down below, do you still use your owls? Be it pillows or like figurines or like cups with owls. Are you actually a fan of the owl, or did you just fall into the trend? Let me know what you think below. One of the purposes that I talked about at the beginning of the video is living a very intentional lifestyle. So before buying a trendy thing, I'm going to really consider whether I'm going to enjoy that thing for a really long time, and if not, I'm not going to buy it. The next really big category for my life of not buying is toys. I have been pretty bad at buying toys for my son this year, and I think it has to do with the fact that previously we lived somewhere that didn't have a lot of toys, so now we have access to all these shops around, and I constantly find myself buying toys for my son. And sure, some of them are really sustainable, made of wood, they are made locally, but there's still things and stuff that just fills our house, and he sometimes plays with them, sometimes he doesn't. And I just think that having more toys doesn't equal a happier child. In fact, I think the less toys children have, the more creativity they start to develop, the more independent they become, and the more they utilize the toys they do have in different ways. So I want to help my kid develop personality and creativity, and therefore I'm going to stop buying him toys because he has basically everything he likes. And the real challenge, I think, there is gonna be stopping my husband also from buying toys for my kid, but that's a whole different discussion. And the last category of my no buy kind of year challenge is food. I love food and I like trying new foods. And often when I'm at the grocery store, I will buy things because they look cool, they sound cool, or I've seen them on TV be used in a kind of creative way. And a lot of the times I end up throwing at least part of it out. I want to stop doing that. I want to stop wasting food because it's such a big problem. There's so many companies that constantly waste food, good food. Additionally, I really want to get into kind of planning my meals in order to avoid food waste and really focus on using local ingredients rather than trendy or like cool ingredients that like famous chefs use. So I want to really focus in on delicious food, but simple food and locally made food rather than food that looks cool on TV or on Instagram. So there are the rules for my Low Buy 2020 challenge. I hope you can relate to some of the rules, and I will do probably not frequent but infrequent, maybe 4 times a year updates on how I'm doing. Most of the updates will come on my Instagram, so do follow me if you don't already. I hope you found this video useful, and I would really love to hear what you think about low buy challenges. Do you think they're a hoax? Like, do you think people actually follow them, or do you think they say they follow them? I am gonna try to be really, really intentional, really, really truthful about what I'm buying and keep you all in the loop. So what do you think? What are your low buy challenge rules? Are you ever going to consider a low buy year? Have you done it? Let me know, because I think I'm gonna need a lot of support this year to actually not buy things that do not fall into my allowed category. So let's help each other be really, really conscious consumers, really, really think about what we're buying before we buy it. Leave a comment below and tell me how you're doing it. Thank you for watching so much. See you all later. Bye.